Hey, this is just a little jump in here at the beginning of my video. Thank you very much for listening to this. This is very new for me. I don't do it, and as you know, you've probably seen that I just post Warframe stuff. So I apologize for the change, but I just want to try something new. I want to. I feel watch YouTube like you, and I get passionate about certain topics that pop up, and I want to talk about it, and I want to use this channel as my outlet for it. So, if that's not you, then hey, that's you. Bygones be bygones, okay? But anyways, thanks very much. Have a good one. Bye. All right. Not to patronize you guys, I know you've already seen the video, but if you haven't, I'll link it in the description. Just like a billion people seen it, but whatever. IGN released a video regarding Resident Evil 5 and how it cannot be remade as it was today. And it's written and spoken or narrated by Matt Purslow. The video starts off, somewhat as an honest critique about gameplay, but it all turns to soggy shite by the end, and we'll get into that. But to summarise Matt's critique, Resident Evil 4 is better because he likes it and thinks it has more survival horror, scary. And on the other hand, Resident Evil 5 is more actiony and more action, and he doesn't like it. His video is more professional and articulate, but that's the general point I could extrapolate from, the real part of that, review. I mean, what's there to be said? It's all a valid reason. Eyes of the beholder, subjective experiences, and all that. I mean, despite IGN giving it a 9 out of 10 back in the day, but that's neither here or there. In my opinion, I do agree 5 is worse than 4, but not for the same reasons. I didn't find either of them remotely survival horror. 4 was fun. 5 was fun with co-op. And that was that was the first co-op Resident Evil 5 I played back in the day. There was File Outbreak on the PS2, but that was like online in North America only and had no split screen or any of that. But that one would have been the real survival horror because that was made with the, tank controls and all that. It was just like, it was actually done really well. I mean, you can play it today in other ways. I'm not sure if I'll ever get into talking about it, but anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. Yeah. 4 and 5 are both suffer from action elements. They both have that kind of QTE shit in them. A product of the time, one might say. In 4, I think you can just walk into you can just walk into a cutscene and get your throat slit by a dude in a beret if you don't hit the QTE fast enough. 5 was slightly worse to me because it had that drab American Army backdrop, and just another desert game. Yay! There were tons of them. Resident Evil 4 was the main release that people thought had diverged from the traditional kind of survival horror. Which there were so many clones of on the PlayStation. Dino Crisis, Parasite Eve, to name a couple. It had all the love and hate that came with it. He then shits on Resident Evil 6 for some reason, but that game was miles better than 5, and it was definitely more survival horror than the other two because Resident Evil 6 had a bit in it that had had Helena and Leon, which was the more survival horror part, and then you had the action parts with the other characters if you ever played it. But to conclude that part, I don't agree with Matt's assessment of those two games. I think he's wrong. They are both action games and could be equally bad or good. But anyways, it's personal preference, so who cares, right? Then there's a pause before Matt moves on to the next thing he wants to say, and that is the game is racist. Uh, he pairs this one out by saying that people are aggressive when they are not infected, and that the culture isn't accurately representative of Africans, and that's why it's racist. But I mean, any culture is represented accurately in a video game. I mean, for fuck's sakes. Um, everything's stereotypical and exaggerated, but you know, you and I know that. But you know, uh, but there is a read between the lines. I mean, not unless you're looking for it. And anyways, that's why he says it's racist. Then he drops BLM and says he doesn't like white people shooting black people. Which completely dumps his review in the toilet. Matt doesn't like Resident Evil 5. Matt doesn't not like Resident. No, he does not like Resident Evil 5. Not because it's this action arcadey style shooter that's diverged from survival horror. He dislikes it because it has essentially a white guy shooting a black guy. That's it. End of review. That's what he wants to say. He doesn't like that guy shooting the black guy. That's it. That gives him a visceral, uncomfortable feeling, and he doesn't want that to be in the remade. And that's why he's saying his video cannot be remade. And I do admit, Resident Evil, that video isn't called the Resident Evil 5 review. It's called Why Resident Evil 5 Cannot Be Remade Today. So, here's my personal opinion. I don't think the video is directed technically at gamers. I think it's a love letter to the devs, right? Or an open letter to devs. Or a veiled threat with a BLM name drop to Capcom, begging them not to make a remake of Resident Evil 5, lest they incur a wrath like Hogwarts Legacy. I mean, that might be a stretch for some of yous, but his video is kind of a list of demands for what the remake should be. Should be, you should remake Resident Evil Veronica, or it should have a black protagonist. Yes, but someone who gets uncomfortable from seeing white people shoot black people, generally, and who are game generators, tend to have a ideology that we all kind of are somewhat aware of, and they don't generally like black people being in any sort of subservient role at all. So what would happen to the white villains who are responsible for harming all those people in the game, like Albert Wesker? So if you think about it, how you would remake it to appease that particular type of person or that group of people, you're going to have one hell of a remake. And it's probably going to fall flat. I believe that the game, if they do choose to remake the game, it should stick to the vision of whatever the fuck they want to make. Right? Let it stand on its own two legs. If it's shit, it's shit. And if it's not shit, it's not shit. And, let game journals rage, man. That's what I say. They're shit. And IGN's probably the last notable one that's still standing. So, let's review games for what they are and not get into the down and dirties of them. You know what I mean? Well, thanks very much for listening to me so far, and have a good one. Bye.